Всем привет. Меня зовут Asna, and today I wanted to talk about something pretty needed. And today, a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember the guy's name, but I watched a video, and this guy goes into detail. And I've been saying this for a long time. People don't know how to talk to each other anymore, whether it's like the advent of social media or what have you, I don't know. But I know, like, I'm part of that as well. I think I'm more of the, I don't even really know how to approach people anymore type of person. Whereas other people are more specifically gonna hit my herbal vaporizer. I think that people are just like not in the know on like how to have constructive conversations anymore, right? So I was watching this video that kind of like drove exactly what I wanted to say, but then I was like, I still want to make my own video on it anyway. But he goes into topic, in depth on this topic, and I guess it all started when like he was at like a restaurant or something, and he noticed like, oh my god, like this one person like did not even get to put in like a word in edgewise, like because the other person was too busy like talking about themselves. And I noticed that's really the other thing, and like I think I've been kind of guilty of it too myself in the past. I won't give myself much of like leeway to wiggle out of it. I mean, I think it's just a bad habit that people in the modern age have. But I've been trying to like actively like cut back on that, or like be more mindful when I'm having conversations with people, especially since I saw that one video. But within my own mind, I've been coining the phrase like talking at, to talk at someone for a long time, to kind of just describe like somebody that's saying a lot but not saying anything at the same time. Like, that can either be like, how do I put this? Some people seem to be like really bored, right? And instead of entertaining themselves, they'd rather ask you a myriad of personal life questions and everything about your life. Not because they actually want to get to know you, but because they're bored and they want you to entertain them with the answers. And that's just fucking disrespectful to me. Like, I would only ever ask about someone's personal life if I genuinely wanted to know them more. Like, trust me, like, if someone wants to be your friend, they'll put the legwork in to be your friend, you know? But that brings me back to the point, I had to make a lot of changes in my life. I had to look at a lot of relationships that I had. And one concerning thing that I found was that I realized at some point that I was surrounded by a lot of people that genuinely did not know anything about me happening. Regardless of like the fact that I may have even like talked to them like daily or whatever, I'm like, how can this be possible? I see you every day, I talk to you every day, coworker or anybody. And it's just like, I feel like I know everything about you, but you have never really asked about my life, It's like, I don't care at that point. Like, if you don't want to get to know about my life, why the fuck should I care about your life? Like, in terms of, like, knowing about it. It doesn't work like that, It's a two-way street. And I was guilty of that myself, and look, I'm really trying to get better at it. I'm trying to be more engaging with people and like say hello and good morning and then ask how people are doing and then like if they're like not feeling good, go that extra step and say like, well, I hope you feel better soon because honestly it really does go a long way, like some people go through some shit and nobody would ever otherwise know about it and like some of the strongest people are honestly some of the quietest and kindest people you'd ever meet. I mean, I've met people that have lived such rough lives, like, it almost makes me cry for them because I feel so sad and they're just kind of like doing life. And, those are always the people I notice that, they're the ones that like check in, see if you're doing okay, and like, I appreciate that. I like it's just like that. It's like almost like a mind-numbing boredness that almost gets me to like a violent point or even argumentative when like people are just like using your attention as an entertainment piece. It's like I don't know if I have one life or not to live. Like everybody's time is valuable. But don't waste my time with like stupid fucking small talk or like if I obviously don't like something that someone's into and I am like, hey, like this really doesn't interest me. Um and like they keep going and they keep fucking going and they keep going and it's just like, hey bro, like stop, please. I do not care about this. I try to like me personally, like I'm really into music. I'm really into like learning and like especially like linguistics, so like learning about the syntax of other languages and I really I think at the end of the day I just like to see how like other cultures think about things because there really is differences. Like I could go into some differences right now. Um like in Russian, like you wouldn't say like I have this, I have that. You would actually say like at me, there is a dog. If you wanted to say like I have a dog, you just say у меня собака, у меня продукты. I have groceries, something like that. At me there are groceries. Basically, that would be roughly translated to. Well, not there are. I'm just kind of adding it in there to sound smoother in English, but it'd be like at me groceries, at me dog, or like na travia собака, on the grass a dog, stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, to bring that full circle, I don't like go into that. I mean, I would make a YouTube video about it because it's my channel and that interests me, and I have made videos about it. But for the most part, like I know like people around me aren't particularly into that, and it's like I try to keep that to myself. I mean, I'm more than willing to open up about it in full detail if like someone actually asks. But otherwise, like I know it's boring to other people. I don't bring it up. It's like I would much rather people just be like, oh, I didn't know you did this. Like, why didn't you tell me? And then I honestly usually just say nobody really cares about that. And it's like, I no, you don't. You don't care that I do that. Shut the fuck up. You do not care. It has no basis on your life. You don't care. Stop saying like I care. I don't care that you're saying that. I know it's performative. Just don't. But if you had any takeaway from this video, when you have a conversation, if you have a conversation with someone today, be mindful of the conversation you're having. Ask questions. Give people branches to grab onto. And you'll start to see the more that you're willing to open up and ask the questions, and then vice versa. If it's like starting to actually be like a healthy friendship or partnership or whatever, you know, just be sure to let the other person that you actually care about what they're doing with their life, you know. Because I've seen it in every facet, like dating wise, I've seen it coming a mile away, and I've had to basically like unmatch from people or just straight up be like, hey, I don't see this going anywhere, like, we have to stop. You know, it's happened with friends, it's happened with family. It's just like, I don't like being around like people that only talk about themselves, and I was around that for so long that I kind of like became that, and it made me really uncomfortable to know that I had like changed like that, and I don't know, it bothered me a lot. So I really am like consciously I was like trying to be better, and now it's like time to be better at. I need to be better at effectively communicating with people, because it's a skill, quite frankly, that I've lost. And it ties into another thing I'll briefly talk about. To me, anxiety is a weed. Now, generally, I don't like to use the word weed because it literally is describing like an unwanted plant, and really, that's really, you know, valuability is in the eye of the beholder, right? And I'm a plant guy, and a lot of those weeds are actually really good superfoods and medicinal herbs. But we'll see in this instance, social anxiety is literally a weed, but it's a weed that you can't necessarily like kill. It's something that you have to constantly treat with like a some type of pesticide or whatever to get it to, or you have to maybe say hedge it, you know, clip it to keep it from getting too large and out of hand, right? I had a interesting conversation with a old boss of mine who was like a plant superintendent. And I said this in a recent video, but I said, look, man, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you're a big dog here. You are the big dog. Like, I see you somewhat unapproachable, just because, like, I feel so small in comparison. He's like, you're anxious. You're socially anxious, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I am. And he's like, look, I'd like to have a conversation with you sometime when you find the free time, and we can talk a little bit more. But he told me, like, you know, when I used to live in Chicago, I had this really big job interview, and I literally had to circle the building 4 times before I got in there and actually did it. And it's, you know, it hit home with me because I definitely been in situations like that. Sometimes I wish I would have just rejected like the offer to like go back for an interview, because I feel like if I were to ever bump into him in public, he would not be like, hey man, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while, because like I told him I was gonna come back to his plant and I fucking ignored him. Like I blew him off. And, you know, I'm just going to assume that bridge is burnt. It's not even like I want to work for him anymore. But it would be interesting to talk to him, you know, just like guy to guy. But damn. I just wish he would have paid me more money, man. I just wish I could have trusted him. I would have given him like literal years of my working life. But that's not the case. Anyways, yeah, it's just like social anxiety. It's like a plant that you have to keep maintaining, or else it gets overgrown and shrubby. And I feel like, you know, being more social with people helps not water the plant, but, you know, that's like my hedging of the plant to keep it maintained. And, you know, I guess it probably sounds really bizarre to people that are like extroverted, but for us introverts, talking to people is like a chore, but we have to do it anyway, and we have to keep doing it to keep familiarizing us with the feeling of talking to people, or else it honestly it's kind of like riding a bike. You might get a little like rusty at first, you know, like, yeah. And unfortunately, I found myself at a point like not too long ago where I was like, holy fuck, like I've regressed a lot. I never leave the house. I'm not doing anything with my life actively right now, so I decided to change that. I'm gonna go jam with some people tomorrow. That'll be pretty fun. I'll see if I can get like some video footage so I can put it on here. And then, no, overall, I'm just like putting myself out there more and talking to people, and then, you know, obviously I got my good support, my good friends, and that's all there really is to it, you know. And if there's anything you take away from this video, ask somebody some questions about their life today. And that's about all. Peace out.